r/ask Reddit. What's the stupidest thing you've been punished for at school? In first grade I did a page in my math book a day early and I got in trouble for it. Even as a 6-year-old I could tell that was bullshit. Same thing happened to me. My teacher told me that I need to wait for everyone in the class to finish or something along those lines. If that does not show the problem with the current public education system, I don't know what will. Every student learns at different speeds and in different ways. Yep, the whole every student learns at different speeds thing tends to focus on the slower side of that spectrum. I suppose most schools just figure the faster kids are smart enough to figure out how to bide their time. Except they then punish you with disciplinary action for finding ways to keep yourself entertained. What? So if I finish a test halfway through class, I'm supposed to just sit there in silence? I can't sleep because who the hell falls asleep for 20 minutes in that uncomfortable position? Why can't I go on my phone? Too distracting? Then let me just leave the classroom or go to a corner of the room or some shit. I'm bored out of my ducking mind, for crying out loud. I also was one of the first kids in my class to finish tests. It was pretty awesome until my understanding teacher passed away suddenly over winter break. The replacement wouldn't even let us jerk off at our desks. I wrote everyone a Christmas card in my class when I was like 5. It took me ages. I spelt one kid's name wrong and he cried and I was the baddie. Duck you lime. In 7th grade, we had, like, another homeroom after homeroom. I forget what it was called, but it was supposed to be so we could make friends with other people on our hallway who weren't in our class. For some reason, I got put in charge of getting a birthday card for a kid I hardly knew for us to all sign. I put Drew on the front in big, friendly letters. When I gave it to him, his only response was a snotty, "I spell my name D-R-U, sigh." I was taking a test in a class taught by a teacher who was very paranoid about cheating. She would patrol the aisles between desks and angrily whisper at people if they looked anywhere besides their own paper. I was sitting by the window when something caught my eye outside. I couldn't help but stare for a few seconds. The teacher pulled me into the hallway and berated me without even giving me a chance to explain that I had seen a homeless person stroking his shaft in broad daylight. Something caught your eye. Sounds like you're gonna go on about a squirrel or something falling, not a homeless guy getting ready to crank one out. Shyamalan twist. The teacher was covering for that homeless guy. I farted in class once and the teacher made me stay after to call my father and tell him what I did. What was your father's reaction? He thought it was hilarious and then used the time with me on the phone to catch up a bit. The teacher was not pleased. Your dad sounds like a great guy. One of my buds had brutal farts going one day and we told the teacher it was another kid stinking up the place. She proceeded to make him stand outside for the duration of the class. Poor ducking kid. I posted about this before as a long story, so I will make it short here. In 5th grade, a group of friends and I basically went into the boys' room to piss before going back to class. On the way in, some kids were exiting. Inside we found a stink bomb. We went outside to tell an adult what we found. She took us to the principal's office. The principal interrogated each of us individually. Apparently someone needed to be punished for the stink bomb. It made no sense since we only found it. We didn't deploy it. Most of us, or at least I thought the kids leaving the bathroom before we went, unlikely did it. But that didn't seem to matter. We didn't know their names or anything either. So the principal gave us an ultimatum. Either one of us would be punished or all of us would. We decided to go out together. I still remember this fairly well because it was such a stupid and dumb example of injustice. We were trying to do the right thing but got punished as if we were the culprit. That's bullshit. Reasons like this is why I try to keep my mouth shut unless someone's in danger. Good on you for going down as a team. What was the punishment? We had to just stand in the hall at certain exits and monitor during the entire duration of lunch recess. One of us had especially pissed off the principal, so she made him literally stand in the corner of the cafeteria with his head down and face the wall so he could think about what he did. I'm guessing he was adamant of blaming the other kids leaving the bathroom. I remember she had burst open her office door saying, "How dare you?" while he stormed out. He would stand in facing the corner even when the school staff was putting the cafeteria tables and benches away. It pisses me off thinking about it now. I forgot how long we had to do it. Somewhere between a week to a month. As a kid that feels like forever, of course. The principal apparently died of a brain aneurysm in 2004 when I was in high school. I was at a book fair in first grade, had some books picked out and was waiting on my dad to show up and get them for me. The book fair was in the library and had windows all around. I saw my dad enter the school and walked out, probably 15 feet from the entrance to the library, still inside the school, with the books in hand to show him. Immediately the librarian came out and escorted me to the principal and accused me of trying to steal. The principal lectured me for 10 minutes, and then banned me from all after school functions until I left elementary. The kicker was after I got out of junior high that principal had become superintendent. Then, shortly after that in my junior year was accused of stealing over $200,000 from the school district. Hypocritical ass motherfucker. Edit. Damn. Wow. I wasn't expecting such an overwhelming reaction. Thanks everyone for your comments. I'm gonna try and respond to everyone. More than a few questions were about my parents' reaction. I explained what my dad's reaction was in a few of my comments. I'll address that here as well so everyone can see. First off, my dad was raising us at the time, with the help of my grandma because he was gone driving over the road for work all the time. My mom wasn't around. She had just went to prison for multiple DUIs. Looking back, the problem would have got resolved a lot quicker because she didn't play around with her kids. Even though she was an alcoholic, she was a good mom for the time she was around. Anyway, since she wasn't there during this particular incident, and I really hadn't figured out a way to effectively argue for my innocence without my dad understandably questioning it, the punishment went unchallenged. Until a month before the end of my 6th grade year when we had a going away party for the kids heading to junior high. I was going to be losing a lot of friends, going to different schools and such. So, I told my dad I wanted to go and he went up there and basically told her that I was gonna be there whether she liked it or not. She could go duck herself. Not wanting to use unnecessary accommodations. I have a mild physical disability, but I was perfectly capable of walking up downstairs, carrying all my books, and taking regularly timed tests. But the school got sweet no child left behind $ for providing accommodations. So I got pulled out of class into meetings where I was told to drop the whole independent act and get my attitude together. They told me that they knew how much I was struggling, and that it was all for my own good. I didn't play along. They proceeded to pull me out of my AP classes once a semester to test my reading fluency. Too long didn't read. If you're disabled, your school can make up rules that will be against you every time. So they wanted you to get your attitude together by acting like you were less capable than you really are. Man, people are ducked up. Refusing to read the part in Old Yeller the day after I had to put my dog down. Jeez, mean teacher. Did the teacher know your dog had been put down? If he randomly said no, I won't read it. It makes sense for him to get sent to the office, but if he said something that is messed up. I told her what had happened and I was on the verge of crying in the classroom. That lump was forming in my throat as I asked if I can be excused. She started turning it into a scene and said I can't take an F for the day and sit in the hallway. I said okay, but then she started freaking out on me. It was during a popcorn reading session and the girl who called on me to read even knew about it. I never swore at a teacher before that day, but she was pushing my buttons, so I told her to duck off and got myself suspended for 3 days. My parents or other teachers didn't care. She was a bitch anyway. Filling in a worry sheet about a girl who had been bullying me in year 7 because she denied she did it and according to the teacher was such a lovely girl. I hated my time at that school so much. Was homeschooled. Said Sweet Home Alabama is not the greatest song of all time. Got grounded for a month. What's it like when you get a crush on the teacher? Or how about the time he called his teacher mom? Not exactly a punishment. But in 2nd grade my teacher marked my spelling of the word I wrong on a test because the bottom and top lines for the letter were right on the lines of the paper. Until that point I had never gotten a single mark off of a spelling test. This would be really confusing in a spelling bee. Your word is I. That is correct. Can I have it in a sentence please? Certainly, I answered. I captain when asked to find his glass eye. One time in elementary school, I got in trouble because a friend stole my homework paper and copied it, without my knowledge or permission. Not me, but a friend got punished because his Xbox Live username was something like Long Donkey back in the day when we were in middle school. Apparently someone else's mother reported it. It was a private Christian school, which explains it. But still, Mike, if you're reading this, never forget. Okay, what? How can they punish you for something outside of school? That is none of their concern. Like WTF people. I currently go to a private Christian school. A teacher told us yesterday that if we get in trouble outside of school we will be in trouble in school too. When I was 12, a girl at my table told a joke and I laughed. I got detention. She didn't. Detention for laughing? That's a bit much. You should know nobody is allowed to enjoy their time in school. Falsely accused of stealing a ball at recess. Also, told I wasn't allowed to play solitaire with physical cards during lunch because playing cards equals gambling. The gambling thing was at my public school too. I had to get a signed paper for my teacher to teach probability with cards. I'm reading this and thinking about my tutor last semester who literally taught us how to count cards. Teacher said, if anyone doesn't want to learn, feel free to leave. I left the class. Never give them an option you don't want them to take. Selling candy to other kids. Used to go to Costco and buy bulk bags of candy and snacks then resell them for a small profit. School didn't like it because I was cheaper than their vending machines, so they wrote me up for panhandling. I threw a pinecone at a tree. Duck you Sarah. Why is the tree named Sarah? Maybe the pinecone is Sarah. Bully in 6th grade put me into the trash can in the locker room. Gym teacher comes in and yells at me for being inside the trash can. Extra laps. Jokes on him, I love running. Trip the bully and dump the trash can on him. Tell gym teacher the bully is playing with the trash. I have a friend with pretty severe CP and he got dumped in our local crappy high school when his amazing program got cancelled. His aide put him in an armless chair in the cafeteria, totally against everything in his IEP. My friend fell off the chair, which didn't surprise me since he was supposed to be strapped into a specifically designed wheelchair. He hit his head, which caused a seizure. His seizures don't stop without medication that our school wouldn't keep on premise because there was no nurse. I started carrying it when I caught his aide putting him in unsafe chairs. Anyway, he falls, hits his head and starts seizing. His aide just starts yelling at him. I yell at the lunch lady to call 911. She tells me not to tell her what to do. My friend runs out of the cafeteria to find a phone. Before cell phones, I head for my friend with the medication. I administer the medication. The ambulance shows up 25 minutes later with the vice principal, who immediately begins screaming at me in front of the entire cafeteria that I'm going to be sorry and I'm suspended. Okay, so what? I just saved my friend's life. I'll be suspended. My friend had no lasting effects, thankfully. Our moms banded together and showed up at the school threatening everyone from the aide to the lunch lady who refused to call for help. The issue was dropped. A week later I'm called down to the principal's office. He says that they've reviewed the incident and based on my behavior they've decided to not allow me to walk at graduation. I hadn't been planning on it anyway and actually hadn't even ordered a cap and gown. When I pointed this out, I watched the principal turn an amazing shade of red in that they'd already agreed to not punish me further for the incident. I even had a copy of the paperwork everyone had signed. The principal then turned purple. I left the office laughing at him. He then spent the rest of the year trying to find a way to keep me from graduation. Every time he started in on me, I just pulled the paperwork out. The paperwork said that if I were punished the moms would sue. I walked at graduation and told him exactly what I thought of him that day. I got pulled into the principal's office in high school because a bus driver believed that I had passed it while it had its stoplights out. The reason they thought this wasn't due to my plate or anything. It was just due to my car type, which was a white pickup. In Texas, half the ducking parking lot could match that description. Possession of paperclips. They became a weapon in 7th grade, starting with the outermost part. Unbend each bend until you're left with only one bend. Unbent, it will look like a jar candy cane or a fish hook. Put a rubber band between your thumb and index finger, and I'm sure you can figure out how to launch said paperclip. We were getting them stuck in the roofing, denting the blackboard, and then someone even shattered a glass picture frame on the wall. Best was Joey getting hit in the back of the neck during silent reading and hearing him yell duck. I've been punished for getting beaten up. I didn't try to defend myself in the least and I got in just as much trouble as the kid that beat me up. School violence is weird. You are getting punished for no hitting the attacker but you are too for hitting him. Remember kids, if someone hits you, you're gonna get punished anyway. Make the most of it and beat the shit out of that guy. Because zero tolerance works. Or else. I remember when a group of girls were planning to jump me and I got called into the office so they could ask me what I did to them. And people wonder why kids that are bullied get so messed up. They get blamed for it. Listen, I work in a school. And I need all you young people to know this. If an adult seriously ducks you over at school, tell another adult and repeat that process until someone cares. I have beached out co-workers for micromanaging kids, have revoked unfair punishments, etc. Get someone to care. I went to a private Christian school, and in the first grade, I brought in my Pokemon card collection for show and tell. I got sent to the principal's office because my teacher said Pokemon cards supported evolution and magic. Back in 4th grade, I was obsessed with Yu-Gi-Oh! And my teacher took my entire deck because she was such a devout Christian. I went to a public school. I ended up stealing it back, and I still laugh at it every time I look at my old deck box. Wow, she took it away. My principal took mine away but I got it back at the end of the day, only to have it stolen by my mean neighbor a few weeks later. To this day I'm still bitter about that. In 2nd grade, I got in trouble in math class for knowing that 3/5 equals -2. I got told that I wasn't supposed to know about negative numbers yet. Same. A teacher told me you couldn't divide 5 by 2. I showed her the number. She got mad. But you aren't supposed to know about decimals yet. I was extremely shy and awkward as a child and the principal threatened to suspend me if I didn't look people in the eye more. Grew up with a kid that never spoke unless spoken to. For whatever reason he unnerved teachers and they'd try relentlessly to get him to open up to the point where they'd threaten him with punishment, etc. One day he's had enough and says to our teacher, Jesus Christ, I just don't like talking. I'm not you. He had in school suspension for a few days which he liked because it was sitting in a room, talking to no one, doing your work and going home. He's a long haul truck driver now. Perfect job for him. My high school had a massive problem with people being late to class and decided that after 3 years of doing nothing, they needed to get off their asses and do something about it. I was always notorious for walking in about 5 seconds before the last bell. Had it down to a goddamn science. However, no teachers ever really cared. I would always be in my seat before the bell and never disrupted anything. One day all of our teachers were instructed by the principal to close and lock their doors 1 minute before the bell and send anyone who came after that to the main hall to register for detention. A little over 100 students were punished as a result of this, many of which had their lockers in a separate building because the main building didn't have enough and needed to grab supplies for their next class. TLDR. Roughly 100 of my classmates and myself were punished for being on time to class. 4th grade we had a fire alarm go off during some considerable rain in our line after everyone got checked on attendance. I went on my knees, threw my hands in the air and yelled, "Why? Smokey, why?" I was trying to be funny but the teacher didn't like it and called my parents and made me sit in during recess the following day. In a geography test, saying that Greenland is the world's biggest island because Australia is so much bigger. In a later test, from the same teacher, saying that Australia is the world's biggest island because it's a continent and thus doesn't count. The correct answer is Greenland. I've waited all my life for this moment. I was in 4th grade and there was a new kid who had just moved here from Europe. I decided to be nice to the kid and asked him what his name was. He told me later, so me being American in America just assumes his name is Lettuce. So me and Lettuce spend the whole day playing together and I show him around. Fast forward to the end of the week. I get called down to the principal's office for bullying some kid. Guess who I see there? Goddamn Lettuce. Apparently he thought I was name calling and reported me to the teacher, which almost got me suspended. Duck you, Lettuce. To the entire class after someone's phone rings. Whose phone went off? No response. If you don't tell me, then the entire class has to stay behind. No one says anything. Entire class is forced to stay for an extra 10 minutes and think about what you've done. I expected the reveal of the phone actually belonging to the teacher. My English teacher was giving out handouts. I was the last one in my row and let her know she missed me. She then sent me to the dean, who didn't believe me when I told him why I was sent there. After he called her to confirm, he just told me to sit tight for a few minutes then go back to class. I was later told by friends that when he called her, her response was, well, he was so annoying. She also once sent a classmate to the dean for blowing his nose. It was business class in middle school. Wasn't business. It was just a basic computer and typing course. I typed 120 at the time, and the teacher typed around 70. I remember one time I finished the whole week's assignments in one day and asked her if I could do anything else. I don't type with correct form, so she forced me to type like that, and I typed around 40 WPM. She hated me. Anyways, one class I had finished all my work 30 minutes early and I was drawing. I put it away as she was walking by because I was satisfied, and she made me take it out. She said that's not the drawing, and looked through my entire bag. She took out a drawing of a sword and gave me a referral. It wasn't allowed because it was a weapon. Too long, didn't read. Teacher looked through my bag, found a drawing of a sword, gave me a referral because it was a weapon. My friends and I used to lightly slap the top of the doorframe before we'd go out to recess, because we thought we were like NBA players and we were cool like them. We got called in the next day and were told to not do it again because we were showing off our height. When I was 11 years old, me and another kid fell out on a Friday at school. Nothing serious, just kids stuff. On the following Tuesday we were both playing for the school football team and we were still not getting on talking. Whilst practicing on the side of the pitch mid-game, we both went to intercept a pass, along with another kid, and neither of us won the ball. But nothing really happened there. As I moved away, he follows me and punches me square in the face. I go down like a sack of potatoes. I'd never been punched before and goddamn it hurt. When I get up, I tell my dad. He confronts this kid's parents. Shouting ensues, etc. The next thing I know is in school we are both being pulled out of class as I'm being accused of kicking him in the leg when we and another kid went for the ball and nothing happened. I did not kick him. The teachers wanted to get to the bottom of the story, as our teacher was best friends with this kid's dad. They believed him. In the end, I got punished. Behavior report card. Detention. School even tried to make me take anger management classes. Like duck, I was going to go to that. The other kid, nothing. He punched me in the face and got no punishment. What a load of bullshit that still grinds on me to this day. Too long, didn't read. Kid punched me in the face. I got punished. Sitting down and doing my work on a whiteboard when she told us all to do our work on a whiteboard. Obviously your whiteboard was a little dirty, so you were in trouble for using an off whiteboard. Second day school. I got a 1 hour after school detention for having a mouthful of water. I put my hand up, politely asked if I could have some water. Teacher said no, so I drank some anyway. Thinking back, I probably got the detention for ignoring her telling me not to do something, but it was a hottish day. I was thirsty and it was only water. I'm not dehydrating myself. Getting sent to the principal's office for not wearing a bra. I was sent alone into a closed door meeting with a 45+ YO man. I was wearing a bra, and when I objected to being told I wasn't, I was told I must have put one on. Somehow, while being walked from the playground to his office. I was 12 years old. I have APD, auditory processing disorder. Think dyslexia but with words. Except it only happens occasionally, and I didn't understand what the teacher was ordering, so I asked him to repeat it to me and he pulled the line of "Did I stutter?" So I simply told him I wouldn't know, because I didn't hear you in the first place. I was immediately sent to the principal's office and given 3 days in school suspension. Whoa, you made it to the end? You're a ducking beast. I'll cut you a deal. Smash like and subscribe for more curated content, bruh. It's free and that's a great price.